All right, good afternoon. That was a little weak. Let's try that again. Good afternoon.
Hi.
A little bit better. I'm super excited to be here with you all. Like it was mentioned, I'm actually presenting here in our office in Atlanta. And I want to ask a couple questions before we begin here. I see you all in the room. I can kind of glance at you all raising your hands and whatnot. I want to ask, how many of you in the room are educators or administrators at some level? Any? Raise your hand. A couple of you. Okay. How many of you are parents and have children in schools and education? Okay, a couple. And how many of us are students in the room? Fantastic. Okay, lots of students in the room. I have a really interesting topic today. I want to talk about why do we go to school? Why do we go to school? This is a question that I have asked myself a lot in my own journey and my own learning process here. And it's a question I want to ask you all and possibly challenge you on your thoughts of why do we actually go to school. So that's my goal today. For me, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Travis. As it was mentioned, I'm the founder of an organization called iSchool Initiative. We travel the world focusing on promoting technology in the classroom and helping schools embrace new ways of learning. I'm currently a college student at Kennesaw State University, that's in Georgia, second largest university, 30,000 students or so. And I want to start by asking this question. Why are you here? Why are you in school? Why do you come to school every single day? And what I want you to do is I actually want you to take 20 seconds. I want you to tell the person next to you, even if you're not in school already, I want you to chat with the person next to you for 20 seconds and answer that question, why do you go to school? 20 seconds, go ahead. Okay, go ahead and stop me there. Hopefully we came up with some ideas. Now I'm going to boil it down into 3 areas that I consistently see when I ask students and educators, why do we go to school? So if you said something along the lines of, I am here to get a degree, raise your hand. How many of you said something along the lines of, I'm here for a degree? Okay, good bit of us. The next one, how many of you said, let's be honest, I'm here to socialize and hang with my friends? How many of you said that? Okay, well, for sake of argument, let's call that networking, right? Let's call it networking. The third category, I'm here to learn. How many of you actually said, I'm here to learn? Fantastic, quite a bit of us. So here's the thing, these are the 3 reasons we consistently answer why do we go to school. And I want to just dive into these and list some of the things that I'm seeing in the education space, both in high school and as you embark into the college realm here. So let's talk about the degree. The degree in high school, whether it's a high school diploma or eventually getting a college diploma, let's talk about that. I want to talk about your future. You see, I believe that this is the best time to be a student. And the reason I believe that is the world we are headed in is transforming like crazy. Great things are happening, innovative things are happening, change is among us. And to be honest, most of the people in the workforce are afraid of this change. And that comes from a lack of not knowing what the future holds for both the workplace and for our young individuals going into that workplace. And let's just talk about some of the industries right now. Let's talk about the energy industry, right? The way we create and consume energy is totally changing. Tesla Motors announced their $35,000 electric car and is bringing electric cars to the forefront, right? It's becoming commonplace. Solar City launched their roofing, which looks like normal tiles, but it powers your whole house. It can eventually be cheaper than regular roofing, and it's 3 times as durable. The way we create and consume energy, totally changing. Let's talk about manufacturing and construction. 3D printing is completely changing the world around us and your future day by day. Let me give you just a couple examples here. This building in Japan, this apartment building, was created almost entirely using a 3D printer. The second image is a bridge 3D printing itself across water. Now here's the interesting thing about this. When some of us are ready to go build our dream home in 5, 10 years, we're going to use a software, design our dream home in this piece of software, click the print button, and be done. That is the world we are headed for. What does this mean for the jobs in these industries? Let's talk about agriculture. Grasshopper protein powder is predicted to be one of the next, the #1 consumption of protein. Why? Because it is a whole lot cheaper to produce than beef, and it's more sustainable in this process. The way we create our protein is changing. Kickstarter launched a FarmBot. It was called FarmBot a couple years ago. This was an automatic garden that for $1,000, you could put this in your backyard. It plants, you use an app, you pick the vegetables you want, it plants the seeds, waters it, pulls the weeds, all the way to the very end to grow your vegetables. We're going to have vegetables on tap in our own backyard. Let's talk about travel. The way we commute and the way we get around in the world today is vastly different. The largest hotel chain owns no properties, Airbnb. The largest taxi service owns no cars, Uber. The way we get around has never before been as cheap, as accessible, and ubiquitous. And last, let's talk about the service industry. Artificial intelligence is predicted to be one of the next great industrial age revolution models. But rather than go after blue-collar jobs, it's going after white-collar jobs. It's replacing all sorts of things that we didn't even think technology could replace. IBM Watson gives legal advice that is 90% accurate, compared to a freshman law school student, 70% accurate. Anything that is solely based on information, repetition, or accomplishing tasks will and can be automated by artificial intelligence. So the question I ask you, as 50% of these industries, the jobs change and no longer exist, how in education do we prepare people for a future we yet don't understand? How do we prepare people for a job market that we don't know what it looks like? This is one of the greatest challenges in education, in my opinion. So here's the thing. The degree is more important than ever in this educational process. But what I want to emphasize is a degree no longer is the single ingredient to have a successful career in the future. It's now a big component of it, but it is not the end-all be-all. There's much more that we must learn along this journey of school in order to be successful in the workforce. So our world is changing. The second piece I want to jump into is the importance of networking and the importance of relationships. In my own career, as I've launched my own company and traveled the world, this has been the thing that has set us apart, the thing that has made us successful in our own journey and our own process. So I want to talk about that just for a moment. My dad has been one of the biggest mentors throughout my process doing this. And he always shared this quote with me. I love this quote. You are the average sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. You're the average sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Now, here's what this quote means to me is that the people next to you right now are some of the most important people you'll meet and you'll get to know throughout this process. And what this quote really challenged me to do is I wanted to surround myself with ambitious people. I wanted to surround myself with people who were smarter than me, who pushed me and challenged me to do better. And so what is great about college and the process of going to school and going to these colleges, yes, the degree was nice, but I'll tell you the best part about it was I met my future business partners, I met my now wife, I met my mentors, all in this community of really ambitious people. And so think about who you invest your time in, because you're the average sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. 3 points I want to talk about here, especially for those students here who are either in high school and either looking to go to college afterwards. I want to share 3 things about networking. The first is, I cannot stress enough the importance of getting involved in your campus. I can't tell you how many of my peers basically went to college, sat in their dorm, got good grades, took the test, went to class, did all that, but then they just sat in the dorm and hung out the rest of the time. They didn't go to some of the most important events. It could be the social events on Friday evening. It could be being a part of campus life, doing something meaningful that's going to lead to the opportunities of your future. And so one of the things that I want to challenge each of you is to get involved in whatever community you're in. Get involved, because I think the greatest counter to learning and to growth is apathy, right? Not being heavily involved in something. And so for me, I joined a group called Enactus, Entrepreneurs Taking Action Through Their Community. And it's an amazing opportunity. I joined as a freshman and I spent 4 years there. You probably can't tell, but I'm the only kid without a suit there. That's because I had no idea what I was doing. I was figuring it out as a freshman. But here's my challenge to you with this. I challenge you to become a leader in a club or activity on your campus within the next year. I really encourage you to be a leader in whatever it is, because that will lead to great opportunities. The next thing that I want to talk about is the importance of building relationships and building valuable connections, specifically with your teachers and professors. This is something that I really tried to emphasize very early on. And one day, there was David John from Shark Tank. He came and did a keynote at our university. And he's someone, as an entrepreneur, I really wanted to meet. And so I found out that there was this VIP networking event, social networking event with him after his keynote, but none of the students were invited. It was a VIP just for the professors on campus. And this drove me nuts because, I feel like the students could have valued so much meeting this individual. And so I had one of my freshman professors there who I kind of met up with, and I asked her basically if she could sneak me in to this VIP reception. And I was one of the few students who actually had the opportunity to meet him and talk to him and share my ideas. The point here is that sometimes asking for forgiveness rather than permission can go a long way, and you've got to build these relationships with your professors and teachers throughout this process. The last piece I want to stress on the network side is don't be afraid to ask for help. So often there are so many resources and people around you that are willing to help you in your dreams and your cause and whatever it is, but we are afraid to just ask them. I'll share a quick story. For us, we wanted to tour the country and share our message around education with as many people as we could. And so we had this crazy idea. This was my 3rd year of college. We had this crazy idea to raise $150,000, live in this bus, and tour the country, sharing our message with anybody who would listen to us. And, real quick story, we signed a legal contract obligating us to pay $150,000. And 4 days before March, we were $40,000 short. My team didn't know what we were going to do. We were like, are we going to have to take out a student loan? How are we going to pay for this? What are we going to do? And that same day, we met with President Pat, who was the president of our university at the time. I told him what we were doing. He looked at me, he said, how much do you need? And I said, $40,000. And he wrote me a check that day, right? And it was because we had built those relationships, we had built the network, and we were willing to ask in this journey, in our own learning and discovery. So on the network side, I want to challenge each of you to become a leader in an after-school or club model as soon as you can. The last piece I want to hone in on, though, and I think this is the most important piece, is we are here to learn. This is why we go to school. Unfortunately, in a lot of high schools, this is not the mentality of many of our students, though. And I want to share a couple things I've learned about what learning truly looks like. The first is that learning is the act of getting uncomfortable. Ask yourself, when is the last time you were uncomfortable? And that's probably the last time you were learning as an individual. For me, I will tell you that my greatest fear growing up has always been public speaking. I was so deathly afraid of getting up in front of people. I was the one who said, I'll build a PowerPoint, you do the presentation. And I got through most of my career without ever getting up in front of people. And when I went to college, my mentor said, if you're not willing to change, you'll never change anything. And he forced me in an auditorium, this exact size here, my college campus. I did a workshop called Top 10 Apps You Can't Graduate Without. I had about 6 people show up to my workshop. 3 of them were my college roommates. And 10 minutes into my presentation, I completely choked. I had to walk off stage. I couldn't even present to 6 people. And I learned that learning takes the ability to get uncomfortable, and I decided at that moment that I would say yes to any opportunity I could to get in front of people, to challenge myself to grow, and figure out what I could do to become a better public speaker. The next piece I want to mention is just embracing the suck. Learning is a struggle in this journey, and it will continue to be a struggle. And I want to share a quick story here. In 2012, I entered into a Google Young Minds competition. This was an international competition hosted by Google, and if you were between the ages of 18 and 24, submit a 1-minute video showing how you're changing education, changing the world. And after I submitted this video, I had the privilege of being selected as the winner and attended Google's Young Minds Zeitgeist conference. And at this conference, I met people that I look up to, people like Larry Page, the founder of Google, Ariana Huffington from the Huffington Post, will.i.am from the Black Eyed Peas on the top right there, Tony Hawk, the professional skateboarder. But I'll tell you the most interesting person I met is on the top left, and that's Peter, the creator of Angry Birds. And I'll tell you why I love Angry Birds. By the way, how many of you here played Angry Birds at some point in your life? Most of us in this room. What I loved about Peter is that most people have this assumption that he became a millionaire overnight, this instant success with how fast Angry Birds grew. But he told me a completely different story. He told me that Angry Birds was actually the 58th game his company ever produced. Now that doesn't sound like overnight success to me. That sounds like he failed 57 times before finally becoming successful. This was a message I desperately needed to hear, because in my own journey, I feel like our generation, we have this fear of failure sometimes. And that fear stops us from going out and accomplishing the impossible. So I really enjoyed meeting Peter and learning that failure is inevitable in the pathway to success. The last thing I want to mention about learning is what I always want to see young people do is go out and change the world. And this might sound overrated, this might sound cheesy, but I truly believe that now is the time to make a difference in your community and a difference in your world. Most high school students, they'll come up to me and say, oh, I'll make a difference, I'll change the world around me after I graduate school, after college. But what happens after you graduate college? For those of you adults in the room, I'm sure you know, right? Debt, bills, obligations, marriage, kids, things that make it difficult to take risks and go out and change the world around you. Now's the time to go out and create change. And one of the things I will mention here, actually we're out of time, so I'm going to skip this and jump to my last slide here. I want to make sure we're on time here. I asked the question, why do we go to school in the beginning? And that's what I want to end with here. And I want to share a personal story with you. One of my professors on college campus a couple years ago, he was my favorite teacher. He did all the things that I want to see a good teacher do. He was a facilitator. He took you on a journey of self-discovery. There was no multiple choice test at the end of the semester. You didn't have to read chapter by chapter and take these worksheets throughout the process. This professor was amazing, and he got you uncomfortable. But when I asked my peers what they thought of this teacher, most of my peers said they did not like this teacher. I realized I was the only one who enjoyed this teacher. And so I did some research on a very academic website called Rate My Professor. For those of you who don't know, this is a college website that 99% of college students use across the country. It allows them to evaluate teachers so that they know if that teacher is a good teacher or not. Now, I want to share with you the criteria of this website that 99% of college students use. The three criteria are, first, easiness. The easier teacher I am, the better teacher I am. The second, clarity. The more clear instructions I give, the better teacher I am. The third one, helpfulness. Another word for easiness. This is the three criteria that makes up this website. By the way, does anyone know what the chili pepper means on this website? Your hotness. Apparently, your attractiveness also affects your ability to be a good teacher. But here's the kicker. I want to read to you comments of why this student said this was a bad teacher. Here's the first. Do not take this teacher if you value your time and like to know expectations. This teacher will say he's not going to teach you. It is true he won't teach you anything. You must teach yourself. Number two, this is my favorite one. Doesn't actually teach at all, but makes you use what you've learned so far in business school to do it yourself. If you were reading these comments, we think these are positive comments about this teacher, but these are the reasons our students don't like this teacher. So here is the general idea that I want to convey. We have this mentality of what is the bare minimum I can do to get the A, and that stops the learning process from occurring. And I don't necessarily just blame our students, because if I ever asked the question growing up, why do I have to go to school? Why do I have to be here? I was always told the same answer. You go to school to get good grades, to get into a good college, to get a good job. That's why you go to school. And then we wonder why our students take the path of least resistance to do exactly what we just told them to do. I believe that if we want to change education, we have to rebrand the question of why do we go to school? And instead of that, what if our answer was, we go to school to get uncomfortable? We go to school to challenge ourselves every single day. We go to school to become a better, decent human being in the learning process. That is why we go to school. And I will leave you with this. I want to challenge you and ask you this question again. In your own journey, why do you choose to go to school every single day? Thank you very much.